going to go live on YouTube right now. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio hanging out with all of you. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us for our live episode tonight with Janice Oberding. It'll be happening in about 6 minutes here, and we'll just kick things off and see where it goes up until then because, hey, we're all just kind of hanging out. We're all in quarantine, wondering what to do with ourselves, so why not just join us here? It's just that much easier. So we're going to have some fun tonight talking ghosts. We're going to talk some haunting spirits. What makes Janice so interested in rushing into haunted buildings and kicking ass and taking names on the ghosts that she deals with? She's been doing it for a while, and we're going to have some fun and learn about her books tonight and everything that goes along with it. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you're all stocked up on food and whatever else you may need to consume yourself during the time of where we are right now. And we just provide the entertainment value for you here. How you doing, Janice?
I'm doing great. You?
I am doing fantastic. And, you know, I got another inch of snow at my place today. So I'm not too happy about that. Not happy about that at all.
No. Tired of it. We're tired of it too.
I hear you. I hear you there because I don't know what more to do. I still have like 4 or 5 inches of ice on my driveway right now. I got a skating rink on my driveway. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, it makes Las Vegas seem so wonderful.
I know. What I would do to go to my cousin's place in Vegas and just hang out by his pool and have a couple of cold ones and eat crab legs and all that kind of fun stuff that's going on down there. Instead, I'm stuck up here in the cold. Oh, man. Well, it's not so much cold. It's just winter needs to end. It's time for winter to go away.
It is. Certainly is.
See, the big thing around my place right now is now they're forewarning people around my place of the fact that because I live in the wilderness, that the bears are going to start coming out. And yeah, they're going to start coming down. And because there is no traffic on the roads to scare them away, now they're going to be coming into the residential areas because they have nothing to fear because there's no traffic.
Yep, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. We have some here in Lake Tahoe. They have a problem. Well, yeah, it is a problem at times with bears, too.
One second here. All right. Well, let's give a shout out to everybody who's already entered into our YouTube chat room. Hello, BCB. Waylon, how are you? Robin, good to see you. Cable Guy Matt. Hey, Cable Guy Matt, what's going on? Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, how you doing? Good to have all you in here so far. I know it's going to jam up a little bit more as we get closer to the show. But yes, Lake Tahoe. Is that where you are, Lake Tahoe? That's a beautiful area.
No, we're about 30 miles, I guess, 30 or so miles from Lake Tahoe. So we don't have the problems with bears that they do on occasion.
Oh, yes. Yes, it does happen. It totally does happen. But you know what? I think it'll be kind of cool seeing some bears walking around. You know,
as long as you're inside and they're outside. That's cool.
Yeah, that usually is one of the perks that you look for.
Cool.
You know, you stay outside, I'll stay inside, and you know, we'll just make it a happy old time around here. Hey, Science Bob, how you doing? What's happening, Science Bob? I hope you got your cape on tonight. All right, we're going to fire up the first feed here. All right, we're about 1 minute away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's going. All right. Mongolin, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. Hey, I want to remind everybody on YouTube right before we get going, there's two great ways to support this show. We do have the Super Chat open on YouTube as well. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Head to the shop there, the SOR Vault. Pick yourself up a t-shirt. If you can't do that, that's perfectly fine. What I would like is a thumbs up and a subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get things going, shall we? Let's do this. There's the music. All right, 1 second here, and we'll get things going on our end. And here we go. From the snowy mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. All right, tonight we are stepping into the paranormal as we head down to the beautiful state of Nevada, where some of the greatest hauntings and weird stories happen along the way. Janice Oberding is a researcher, an educated scholar when it comes to metaphysics. She is someone who has written numerous great books, which can be found on Amazon and anywhere online, in regards to some of the greatest hauntings of Nevada. Yes, she has written over 20 books, and she has also appeared on numerous television shows like Syfy, the History Channel, LivingTV, and the Travel Channel. We're going to learn a little bit about everything. We're going to learn about the ghosts and legends of Nevada. We're going to get into, a very, very sad story involving the Cosentinos, who she was close with. We're going to get into a lot of topics tonight. So I want to introduce you to our guest, Janice Oberding. Thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the first time tonight. How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you, Dave, for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm going to get you to move just a little bit closer to your microphone because you're a tad bit quiet. But Janice, you have been doing this for a long time in regards to researching the paranormal. Especially, you've done amazing work for the state of Nevada, one of my most favorite states in the United States. What made you go down this path? Why the stories are you covering? What was it, personal, or was it just an intrigue?
I guess a little, you might say a little bit of both. My grandmother was fairly interested in the paranormal when I was a kid, and she would tell my sister and I all these ghost stories and things. And as I got older, I kind of enjoyed visiting places that were supposedly haunted and researching. I've always been that kind of person. I enjoy just researching. I know that's weird, but I do. And then I thought one day I worked in gaming, and the place I was working, they were no longer going to have that particular game. And I thought, well, you know what? Now might be a good time to start writing about Nevada ghost. Nobody was doing it. And I thought, well, we'll see if anybody cares about the ghost and, a history, because they go hand in hand, ghost and history. And so I wrote my first book, and it was a little tiny, thin book. But I learned over the years, I learned a lot about writing books and that kind of stuff. And so that's where I am today, just researching and writing and investigating.
You know, this is something that you have such a passion for, and the way you tell your stories is there's almost a romanticism with the paranormal in there. You can really feel it as a reader. Is that just because of your love for the art, or is that just the passion you put into your writing?
Oh, no, I think it's just that I really, really love the subject. I really enjoy it. I enjoy digging into something. If somebody says, oh, this place is haunted, well, okay, I want to know why, if I can. You know, there are places that are haunted that you're never going to find out the why or the who, but I'm sure going to give it a try to find out why this place is haunted and who is doing it, who's haunting it. So it's just that I truly, truly enjoy my subject.
I don't blame you. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you're a modern day, mystery machine, looking for the answers to the strange and weird that seem to be out there. As long as you have been doing this, have you ever had one of those situations where you're like, this is just a little too heavy for me. I got to look at something else here because this is just getting way out of hand. Have you ever had that type of paranormal situation?
I have. I'm going to tell you one time, and it wasn't in Nevada, actually. It was with Mark and Debbie Constantino, and it was in Georgia. And it was a small cemetery, and a friend who lived in Georgia took us there one evening. There was an event, like a paranormal event, and we were there for that. And he said, well, I'm going to show you a place that's just fantastic. And we followed him, and I guess a group of maybe 10, and we were the great ghost researchers from Nevada. And, we followed them there. They're going to show us all about how Georgia does things. And we got there, and it was creepy, and it was called the Noonday Cemetery. And they talk about the red clay sand mud in Georgia. It was true. Man, our feet were we were having to literally pull our feet out of that because they were sticking to that mud as we walked along. And it was just an eerie feeling the minute we stepped into that cemetery. It's like, we really shouldn't be here. Okay, we walk along a trail, and Debbie says to me, do you see that tree over there? And it was the full moon. I look, I can see the tree. I say, yeah. She says, well, look real closely at it. And I did. And she said, do you see him? And sure enough, there was a little, I'm going to say like an ogre, a little monster, maybe 4 feet by that tree. And here I'm going to stop and say, we weren't drinking. Nobody was drinking. And we see this little monster just kind of floating closer to us. Debbie said, we better get out of here. Man, we took off running, and I don't know what our reputation as the great Nevada ghost hunters were after that, but I'm going to tell you it was such an eerie, like a threatening, like we knew we should not be here. Well, later we found out that was really true because we had trespass. We didn't know that, but we shouldn't have been in the cemetery in the first place. So there you have it.
I want to ask you about that because, going back a couple of years ago, there was the tragic story of Mark and Debbie Cosentino, who were good friends of yours. And, I was going to save this later from the show, but since you've brought it up, I think we might as well get into it. Anytime there is a murder-suicide, especially when it's close to the paranormal family, it is always extremely difficult. And, there were a lot of rumors, a lot of stories about this. And is that something you're comfortable talking about, or is that something that you'd prefer not to discuss? I should ask you that first.
Oh, no, I'm fine talking about Mark and Debbie.
The outside picture that I got, I never knew them. Okay. And I knew their names from watching them on television, just like a lot of other people. Right. But we only see what they are perceiving on social media and on television. Was there a lot of problems that came out of their marriage and everything like that?
Well, I'm going to tell you. On the one hand, I met Mark and Debbie. Actually, I met Mark first. I was doing a Ghost Hunting 101 class. And he came in. He had a little girl, I guess 12 years old, his daughter, one of his daughters. And he had a recorder. And he said, my wife can't get off today. Can I record this? Now, ordinarily, I say, no, I don't like people to record a class. I do. But I thought, that's really nice of a man to come and do this for his wife. So I said, sure. Okay, and then eventually I met Debbie at an event, and I got to know them, and I'm going to tell you, they were genuinely caring people toward each other. They were sincere in their beliefs, particularly Debbie, and I believe she had a really good gift of being able to communicate. Many times since they've died, I've wondered, did she and I really experience all the weird stuff, or were we just feeding into each other's imagination? I've wondered that because, some of it's like you tell people and they think, yeah, right. But anyway, I traveled with them when I went to events. I had them here in the living room, and they had something, I guess you would say, a great charisma. They were both very nice-looking people, and they had this charisma. If they were in a room, people noticed them. So I had them here in the living room. I taught them a little bit about how to do a presentation, and then we went to different events throughout the country, and I got to know them a lot better. They say you never know anybody till you travel with them. And Debbie was very hard on Mark. We were going across the bridge. I probably can't even pronounce it, New Orleans, so I won't even say the bridge, but people who live in New Orleans will probably know the bridge I'm talking about. And it's pouring rain. Pouring rain, and he's trying to get across the bridge because at that time it closed up like I think it was 9 or 10. And we were trying to get to, actually, we were trying to get to New Orleans, I believe. And she was right up in his face while he's driving in this pouring wet rain, saying, look, do I have a pimple on my face? Do you see this on my face? Look, look, look. And he said, Debbie, I'm trying to drive. And it was no concept to her that he's paying attention to the road, because she was one of these people, when she wanted attention, she wanted it right now. Don't do anything else. Pay attention to me. And I've seen her strike out at him, push him, and things like that. Very verbally abusive, very verbally abusive. And I liked them both. I tried never, ever, ever. If they would have started attacking each other, physically beating each other, I would have had to do something. But it was 99.9% not physical.
Verbal.
Excuse me. It was verbal. So I tried never. I never got in the middle. If she was calling him horrible names, which she often did, and he answered with even more horrible names, I thought, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have ever come with these people. I need my head examined here. But I never got in the middle of their fights. You don't do stuff like that. And honestly, when it happened, I was totally shocked, because in my heart, I always felt if anybody would do something like that, it would be her shooting him, because she was insanely jealous. When we'd go to an event, well, I got to tell you, we were in New Orleans. To me, this is funny. We were in New Orleans. We were walking down in the French Quarter, and I knew how insanely jealous she was. And I looked at this one, I guess a club, a nightclub, and I saw they had a long stage, and they had all these girls up there dressed in skimpy bikinis, and I thought, oh my gosh, I hope Mark doesn't notice this. I hope Mark doesn't notice that. I hope he doesn't look, because if Debbie sees him looking, oh my goodness. So we went down that side of the street. We came back. We were even closer. and that we all looked. It was female impersonators dancing. So she might not have got after him over that, but she did get after anybody he talked to, anybody he spoke to, paid too much attention, man or woman, she would get jealous. So it was a very weird relationship, although I do believe at one point they really, really cared for each other.
It's such a sad and tragic story that really rocked the entire paranormal field when this murder-suicide happened of two popular members, and that's just going back a couple of years ago. When was the last time you talked to either one of them before this incident?
Okay, now that's a long story. But first, I'm going to say I always feel so, when I think about this, I think, how stupid of me. The day this happened, I texted Zach Bagans, and without hi, how's it going, I just said, Mark just killed Debbie and then turned the gun on himself. I thought, oh my gosh, that's a terrible way to tell somebody something. But I did. I mean, and I guess when something like that happens, you're in shock. But I hadn't spoke to Mark and Debbie in probably, I'm going to say maybe 4 years. You haven't read Demon Song, have you?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. Well, then I'll in that I talk about this. Our friendship sort of took a nosedive, I will say, our friendship, because Mark and Debbie, like I said, were very attractive people, and I do genuinely believe they got excellent EVP. Okay, but they both wanted to be stars, and that's okay. I mean, why not? And they wanted to meet Zach, and Zach was coming up here to do an event. Now, about 2 weeks before he came up to do that event, Mark and Debbie and I had gone to Goldfield, and we had done some recording for another local news show here. When Debbie and I were doing our recording, she and I were standing maybe 4 feet apart, and we were both talking. So you know right there, anything you get, really it's contaminated, because if you're both talking, I mean, that shows that maybe we should have thought a little bit more about our research there. But I was asking the ghost in the Goldfield, well, why don't you throw something at us like you did Zach, and then we can be big stars, and we can say, look, the ghost, just acting silly, more or less.
You're having fun.
Yes. Okay. Well, later that evening, Debbie says, oh my gosh, listen to this EVP. And I had said to the ghost in kind of a sing-songy thing, I said, oh, just don't throw it and hurt us, because we know you didn't mean to hurt anyone. And I said it kind of silly that way. She played this, and I listened, and we listened. Oh, my gosh, it's the best EVP ever. It's Class A, and then some. It's phenomenal. And everybody, the team who was there with us, oh, my gosh, they're going to make history. This is the best. Oh, it's the greatest. And so we were staying in the one open, there's one hotel or motel in Goldfield. We were staying in one room. Poor Mark was sleeping on the floor, and Debbie and I were in one bed, and the woman who was with the film crew, a friend of ours, was on the other bed, and Mark was on the floor. And I thought, oh, you know what? I think that was me. We were too close together and both talking. I don't think that's a ghost at all. So I told Mark and Debbie the next day, you guys, I always called them guys, you better think about this. Oh, I think it's me. Well, they got in a big fight on the way home over, he was saying, you took all of my camera time. And she was saying, you stepped on all my lines. And there they are in the front seat arguing about who got more camera time. And I'm in the back seat thinking, well, gosh, I didn't get any camera time. But so we got home, and about a week later, he called me and said, do you really think that's you? And I said, I do. I really do. And he said, well, we want to give it to Zach. And I said, oh, my gosh, you guys can't do that. And he said, oh, yeah, we want him to hear. I said, it's not real. But they gave it to Zach anyways. And then they wanted to meet him when he came to Virginia City, and we went up there, and they met him. And, of course, he was impressed with the EVP. And he even took it to Moy Povich, and I always say, my voice was on Moy Povich.
Oh, that's nice.
So
at least Maury wasn't saying you are the father.
No, he didn't say that. But he was saying, I'm phenomenal ghost voice. So that ended our friendship. Because from then on, I told him that's fake, and you guys know you should have never given it to Zach. But they did. And there, of course, there it went. Our friendship just kind of went, and that was it. I later learned, but I always felt that one day they would come to their senses and see that they shouldn't have done that. I really did. Right up until the time they died, I thought one day these two are going to come to their senses and realize they should have told the truth about that EVP. But they didn't, and so that ended the friendship. And later I learned that used to be if we would appear at the same places often. And later a friend said, well, Mark and Debbie always said if the person putting that on event had you there, that they wouldn't appear. Well, at that time, of course, they were big TV stars, and if you have these people saying, we're not going to appear if you have this person there, people are going to say, okay, we're not going to have that person. So I think, well, they were afraid that I would jump up, and I never did. I'm going to be honest. I never publicly said anything about that as long as they were alive. But after they died, I thought, you know what? I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to write this book and tell the truth of them. They were wonderful people. She had many talents. She was very creative. She had kept her house very wonderful, excellent cook. He was a good father, cared about his children, a caring person, wonderful people. They wanted to be stars. I don't know what happened that he snapped, but he did, and it's sad. It's sad, but it happened. So that's basically how our friendship kind of.
That's a real sad story, because it really goes to show, as we got about 40 seconds here before we have to go to break in the bottom of the hour, and we'll continue this when we come back, Janice, but it really goes to show that the popularity of the paranormal meant more than the actual evidence, than the actual love of the hunt and the love of investigating. And it's too bad that it took a erroneous, violent tone. And what it sounds like from you, and we'll get more from you in the next hour, was that it was very, very two-sided. Like there was a lot of abuse on both sides, and that's a terrible, terrible legacy to leave, but I'm going to get your reaction to that when we come back here. Janice Oberding is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking ghosts and legends and hauntings of Nevada, and we're talking about the tragedy of Mark and Debbie Constantino as well when we come back here on Spaced Out Radio. All right. Well, yeah, that story there. We're still live on YouTube, just so you know, while we're on commercial break on the radio side. That story with Mark and Debbie is just absolutely absolutely tragic, you know?
It is. It is. And part of that tragedy is that he also killed somebody. He killed her roommate. You know, when she finally decided she was going to divorce him, and she had no place to go, and they were making the news because they were battering on each other, and they were making local news. So she had a friend who suggested she could move in with her and her roommate. And Debbie did. And unfortunately, this man was in the wrong place at the wrong time. When Mark came over there that night to talk to her, I'm assuming this man tried to stop him from grabbing her or something, and Mark shot and killed this man. So it wasn't just, him and Debbie. It was an innocent bystander.
Yeah, that is. And we'll get more into that coming up, because I'm sure in writing the book and everything, you followed this case pretty close to your heart,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
mm-hmm.
Wow. Just sad the popularity took over.
It is sad because they both had so much to offer. I mean, they both, but especially her, charisma like nobody's business. I mean, they did. And they had the gift of gab. They had pleasant personalities. They had it all going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really sad because maybe if they had focused a little better on careers or something, they might have been, as big as Zach. Who knows? You never know.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Renee on YouTube. Hi, Nikki. Let's give a shout out to a few of you out there. Fap, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. That is absolutely awesome. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hi, Maureen. Chris Moe, how you doing? Good to have you here as well, having you back. And yeah, lots of cool stuff going on tonight. Janice Oberding is our guest on the show. We're just hanging out here while the radio side is on break. You get to hear and see all of the background stuff that we talk about during the breaks. It's so exciting.
Okay.
So exciting.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Well, I can't wait to get into some of your paranormal stories as well a little bit later in the show, because that just... There's something about Nevada. I've driven through it from, north to south, and I haven't been as east as I want to be in the state, but I just love it there. I would move there if I had the ability to move this show there, and the right opportunity, I would move this show to Vegas or into Nevada somewhere in a heartbeat.
Oh, well, one day you might. I mean, Nevada is a wonderful state. And not just because I live here, because it's a fact. I mean, yeah.
Oh,
and there's always good opportunities here.
Yeah, well, the whole Canadian thing kind of hurts that a little bit,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the whole Canadian thing, because, I'm a foreigner. I'm a foreign national.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't have much control over that.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of, there's a little bit of a stumbling block there, but, not much I can do. Not much I can do about that, but it is what it is, and one day, maybe I'll get the dream. Hopefully I'm not too old to have to say, yeah, that dream's over, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
I don't think people are ever too old for that. I say, well, it's never too late till they're throwing the dirt on top of you. That's a fact. I mean, okay, well, some things maybe, but not too many.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got about just over 90 seconds left here.
Okay.
All right. All right. Hi, Shanna on YouTube. How are you? And Mr. KH, otherwise known as Corrence the Booker. Corrence the Booker. All right. About 45 seconds here. All right. Hey, I want to remind everybody on YouTube that a great way to support what we do here on Spaced Out Radio is for you on YouTube. We have the Super Chat open, along with the idea that we also have our Spaced Out Radio store called The Vault on our website. You can head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com/shop. Check out our swag for you today because you deserve to look good in these trying times. And why not put Spaced Out Radio on your t-shirt? So that's the way I look at it. Check it on out if you can today. If not, thumbs up, please, if you don't mind. Here we go. Music's on. Welcome back to the second half hour of Space Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including you can rock out to Bumblefoot and read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight we are talking with author Janice Oberding. She has an incredible collection of books that deal with the hauntings of the state of Nevada. She is one of the top researchers in her field in that state, and we're going to get into a lot of those stories. But right now we're talking about a deadly paranormal story of real life between, Mark and Debbie Constantino, and Janice's book called Demon Song is all about this tragedy. And we're talking about that right now. Janice, welcome back to the show.
Mm-hmm. Here I am. Yep.
So this incident happened now almost 5 years ago. And,
right.
It really split the entire paranormal field in regards to the murder-suicide that happened. When you saw a lot of the comments on social media, especially Facebook and wherever else you may, and on Twitter, what was your thoughts of the way this really divided a community?
Well, it made, some of them made me very angry because if you don't know okay, let's be honest, people we see on TV and in movies, or that's part of them. But they're totally different people when they're away from the cameras, you know what I mean? And just because you see somebody on TV or you go to an event and you pay a lot of money to record EVP with them, that's not the real people. The real people are the people that are home when they're home doing their laundry, going to work, doing grocery shopping, that kind of things. And a lot of the anger was directed at Mark. Now, sure, what he did was terrible. I mean, he killed Debbie himself and an innocent man. That was terrible, and there's no way, no words, nothing you can do to say that was right. But by the same token, Debbie was not a saint. Nobody deserves to be shot and killed. Nobody deserves that. But I really believe in reality. You can only push over somebody so far continually over a long period of time. And she did. I mean, they both did. But there was a time they were at an event in Virginia City, and she would drink. I mean, she would get so drunk she couldn't even stand up. And people had paid, I don't know, I'm going to guess at least $200 to collect EVP with them upstairs at the Washoe. Okay, Debbie got so drunk, Mark had to do that by himself. She couldn't do it. Now, I wasn't there because I was persona non grata at that time, but I was told by friends who were. She was so drunk that she had been paid for this, but she couldn't do it. And when Mark tried to get her to go down to the hotel where they were staying and sleep it off, she took a cigarette she was smoking and just stuck it right on the head of that cigarette right on his cheek.
Ouch.
I mean, yeah. So she was no saint. And I lost a few friends over this, I'll admit. I mean, they were building all these things to Debbie and the evil Mark. One person I know even went on there and said everybody should cut Mark out of all their photographs. And I told him that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, because that's not bringing anybody back. And that's part of it. These photographs are history. That's part of history. 20 years down the road, that will be history, paranormal history. And you're going to jump in there and cut somebody out? I mean, it's silly. And so my opinionated self, I lost that friendship. And I lost a few. But I'm going to tell you, Mark had a wonderful family, and I'm friends with his sister and brother, and he has left behind a wonderful family, 2 daughters. Now, the one daughter is a friend on Facebook, and she's just a delightful young woman, and she has a 2-year-old son who is just as cute can be, a little redhead. And every time I look at the picture she puts up there, I think it's really bittersweet, because I'm so happy for the daughter that, she's married and moved on and has a good life. But and this is a beautiful little boy, but by the same token, I'm very sad that Mark and Debbie didn't have the opportunity to know and enjoy and love their grandchild.
Yeah, so, that is very sad. But wasn't there some type of, in this weird untangling of this mystery, wasn't there some rumor going around about the daughter being involved somehow and physically abusive to, I believe it was Debbie as well?
Okay, the daughter, she was not involved in this murder at all. It was her apartment. Now, I knew the girls. I don't know her as she's grown up. I don't know her as well as I do the other daughter, but she was a daddy's girl. And if daddy said this or that, this is my opinion. And she did, I believe she was involved with that. I believe she and her mother used to physically go to blows, but she was not involved in any way in the murder. Her dad he took Debbie over to this daughter's apartment and killed her at the daughter's apartment. The daughter wasn't there at the time. She was not involved. Mm-mm.
Was there a note as to why he would take such egregious ways to finish things, so to speak?
I don't think so. And if there was, it's never been made public. I've talked to people who said they were talking to him the night he bought the gun at Walmart. He bought the gun. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. If there was, it's never been made public. Nobody's ever talked about it or anything in the family or anything. But I'll tell you something about Mark and Debbie. When I believe it was the first anniversary of their death, although it might have been the second. His sister, one of his sisters, and his brother were in Virginia City. And we were doing a radio show together, talking about Mark and Debbie. And we decided we're going to go up to the Washoe because there's rumors to this day, and I believe these to be true, that Debbie haunts the upstairs at the Washoe, and I believe she just may. And we were going to go up and do the EVP, and they were using some of the recorders that Mark and Debbie used. And I'm telling you, that was the weirdest experience there, watching them using these that Mark, and it was just really weird. And we got very clearly, there was, I think, 7 recorders going. We asked, is this you, Mark? And very clearly on that recorder of Mark and Debbie's, Sandra, sister, got Mark very clearly. And he had that New Jersey accent. That was him, said Mark. And while we're raving about this, we hear a woman scream. And our recorders are going, and somebody said, maybe that's Debbie. Okay. Do you know, we all heard the woman scream, and the 7 recorders, not a one of those recorders recorded that.
Wow.
And so we said, okay, Debbie, we're going to give you equal time. Tell us what you want. Never another word, nothing. Thought that, to me, that was weird. Zach and the Ghost Adventures went up there, and I guess they made communication with her. I'm not sure if they did with Mark or not. And I believe she is there. If she had a choice of where she's going to haunt.
What was special about that place for them?
Well, that's where they more or less got their start, because that's where they met Zach. And they were, how do you say, local Virginia City heroes. I guess you could say that, because when they did the big, the anniversary of the Washoe Club opening, they were up there to open it, hailed us, here's the heroes of Virginia City, come to help us open it and stuff. So I think they got a lot of attention and adulation there, and at the Washoe, and they liked it. They would go in there and party and drink and stuff, and they liked the place. I mean, it's just kind of a place that kind of draws you in. I mean, you know all of Virginia City. It's either a place you really love or maybe not so much. But I just believe it was a spot that they really, really felt comfortable, and everybody liked them, and so that's where they hung out. Their home away from home, I guess you could say, when they were in the area.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you in regards to that, or them, pardon me. But, as you wrote this book, obviously there would have been some people saying that, thank you for the great information. But I mean, on a personal level, there would have been people coming up to you saying, how dare you write something like this? What was the basis for you wanting to write about such a tragic story like this?
Okay. The basis is, they start the news media, when here at the local news media, they started contacting me saying, oh, well, will you tell us what an abuser Mark was? Will you tell us how terrible of a husband Mark was? And I wrote to one and said, no, that's only, you want to tell half the story? You need to tell the whole story, because that is half of the story. They were both abusers. And I never heard from her again either. I don't have to tell you that. I never heard from her, because that wasn't the story they wanted to tell. And I thought, I got to admit, I was pretty mad at those two for a long time. But it broke my heart when they died like that. And I thought, the truth about them has to come out. They were just two people like anybody else. They weren't evil people. They weren't crazy people. They just got in there and got into something bad. And I don't believe it was demons. Some people say, well, it was demons. They brought all this negativity home. No, I don't think it was that. I think they got crazy. They loved the attention. And because Debbie started to drink so much, I honestly think if they had lived, they would have crashed and burned badly, because she was already at events. I told you when she put the cigarette out on his face and how she was so drunk she couldn't do that. And they would get paid for events, and then they'd get up there and start getting in a screaming match. People, I always said, you guys, if I want to see a husband and wife fight, I can go home and fight with my own husband. I don't need to watch you two fight. And I think a lot of people felt that way. This is crazy. Why are you doing this? You're supposed to be entertaining us. And so that's why I wrote it. I wanted people to know, don't be judging and saying he's evil, he's a demon, he's a bad person. And don't be judging her saying she's evil and a bad person. This is the people I knew before they were famous. They were wonderful, caring people. They just maybe went off in a wrong direction. I mean, it was terrible, and I'm not trying to mitigate what he did in any way. And in the book, people say, well, you named it Demon Song. I did, because I said every one of us has our demons, and they sing to us, and most of us don't pay any attention. But one night Mark did pay attention, and that's what I meant, the reference to Demon Song. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend, and they're fairly known in the paranormal. Well, they contacted another friend who's fairly known in the paranormal. She's writing a tell-all book, and she's going to air all that dirty laundry. And this friend called and said, are you going to, because people knew there was bitter feelings between them. And I said, no, when I'm done with this book, I'll send it to you, and then you can tell me what you think. So I did. I sent it to him. And he said, it's a love song to the Constantinos. And then he sent them a copy, and that was the end of it. They never said, because I didn't get in there and try and, make them the bad guy. They weren't the bad guy. They just fell into something very terrible, and he did something very terrible to an innocent man, to Debbie, and to himself, and also to his daughters, because they lost parents.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was proud of that book. I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to knock on wood here. Let me find some wood to knock on, because every time you say something like this, you do crash and burn. But that book has writers, your book, sometimes you get reviews, yes, and you think, man, was that book that bad? Oh my gosh, should I pull it off? This book got nothing but good reviews. And there I'm knocking on wood. just for luck's sake. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do, Dave, is just tell about these are the real people. You saw somebody who was up there smiling, but these are the real people. They're just like you. They had bills to pay and kids to feed and things they wanted in their life. That's all I wanted to do.
True. Now, in regards to what happened, and we all know the tragedy that happened around this story, do you think it was the idea of being popular or the best in the field that kind of motivated them to start working against each other, leading to this tragedy?
No, I think what it is, now I'm not sure, because like I said, after they presented this to Zach, our friendship just went. That was the end of it, because it just wasn't right. But I think it's like, say two big stars in Hollywood. And oftentimes they say their marriages don't last because I think to be, this is no put down to anybody who's famous or a star. This is not at all. But I think to be a big star, to be a president, to be anybody like that, you have to have an ego that's probably larger than most egos. I honestly, this is my opinion. So I think that said, Mark and Debbie's egos clashed. She wanted to be, everybody loves me and everybody pays attention to me. And he wanted to be, everybody loves me and pays attention to me. And they couldn't see that everybody loved them and paid attention to them. And that's kind of what I think it was. It's just like a rivalry. Well, everybody listens to me and likes me. No, everybody likes me. I believe that's basically just a rivalry. That's what I think.
Janice Oberding is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We only got about 3.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, so we might as well just continue with this topic. And then in hour 2, we'll start fresh, getting into some of these great hauntings and stories that you have collected over the years and written so many great books about. With this case, do you think the way the paranormal community reacted, never mind choosing sides, but has reacted to, the popularity of television and wanting to be a star, and television shows are picking up new people every year and we're seeing new faces. Do you think that what happened and the stress that happened because of this has just kind of fallen by the wayside 5 years later?
I think so. I think people move on. I mean, I think it was a shocking thing. It stopped everybody in their tracks. But I think it's like, that's how life is. We have to move on. We keep going. We just don't stand running in place. And I think that's part of it. I think the paranormal, I love the paranormal field, but it has its issues. And one of those is just about everybody, and I'm not putting anybody down here, but I think everybody who jumps in it, I believe there's a secret thing. I'm going to be famous because look at Zach. Look at this one. Look at that. It worked for him. It ought to work for me. But it isn't that way. Like you said, new faces. There's so much competition in this field to say, I have a TV show. Okay, good. That's nice. Well, I'm working for a TV show. I'm doing this. I mean, I think that's what it is, and I think sometimes we lose sight of what we're really doing. I mean, sure. I mean, it's nice to be known and all that, but is that what we're really out here in the field for? I don't know.
However, the draw for popularity and the draw to be that next Zach Bagans is something that is very, very pushing and a driving force for a lot of people out there.
But Zach works hard. He works hard. He just didn't jump into this field and say, here I am, I'm a pretty face, and I got something to show you. I'm going to say a workaholic from what I know. I mean, he works hard. He didn't just jump in and all of a sudden everybody came running. Here's Zach. He works hard for what he has achieved. All of those guys do. We see him and we see like, oh, look at this show. They were just in Virginia City doing the Union Brewery, and I watched it on TV, and they make it look so easy and fun and that. But I also was up there when they were doing all that, and it wasn't fun, and it was hard work. So that's a side I think people tend to forget.
I think so too. And Janice, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Janice Oberding is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. All of her books can be found on Amazon. There's like a plethora of them, including Demon Song about Mark and Debbie Constantino. And, but there's some great books out there about these incredible hauntings. For instance, Virginia City, Reno, Tonopah. We're going to get into some of those great stories coming up with Janice Oberding in hour number 2, right after this on Spaced Out Radio. That's a good hour, Janice. That's a very fast and good hour.
It was fast. You're right. It was fast.
Uh-huh. I appreciate that. I really do. Janice, I'm going to get you to hold on here for a little bit. Okay. Our YouTube crowd is going to listen to some music. The microphone between you and me will still be hot, but I just got to run my puppies outside quickly here, so I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
All right, I am back. We've got about 3.5 minutes here, or 3 minutes before we're going to go to back on the show. So we're just kind of hanging out with our YouTube crowd right now. How y'all doing on YouTube? Thank you so much for tuning us on in. I greatly appreciate that. Let's go to Virginia City first. The old Silver Rush. See, I live about a mile off the Gold Rush Trail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that trail is haunted as anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, because so many people, I guess, in Virginia City, anyway, lost their lives and things while trying to get the silver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Pretty amazing during that time.
Yeah, I always wish, just for one day, I wouldn't want to be there longer than a day, maybe two. Somebody could invent a time machine just for a day or two to go back and see how it was.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Hmm.
Yeah, I would love to see. There's so many stories and legends from that trail. It's unbelievable.
So does that go, geography's not my strong suit. Does that go up, is that anywhere near like the Alaska?
Yeah, this trail that's right by my house goes right up to the Yukon, the Klondike, Alaska.
Okay.
Everything.
All right. Yeah. Yep. Well, there's a Nevada connection to all that. Wyatt Earp was up there in the Yukon, yeah, and then he came down to Tonopah and opened a bar or saloon, I guess they called it back in the day.
All right, we're just into our final commercial here. I want to remind everybody on YouTube that a great way to support what we do is to head to our website, spacedoutradio.com/shop. Go grab yourself a t-shirt, any sort of swag that we have. As well, we have the Super Chat open for you. Once again, thank you, FAP, for the $5 Super Chat earlier on. Here we go with hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio.
All right, here we go.
And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
The second hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to say hello to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, along with Revolution Radio on the digital side. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Whoopee, or maybe it's Woo Pie. Woo Pie is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and doing a little reading up on the SOR Newswire and so much more. Tonight we are talking with paranormal author Janice Oberding. She has a plethora of books that can be found on Amazon, and I highly suggest you pick some of these up because if you're interested in one of the most haunted states in the United States, it's definitely the state of Nevada, and we're going to get into that right now. Janice, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks.
You are very, very welcome. Virginia City is very popular when it comes to the silver rush back in the 1800s, which led to the gold rush that comes right by my place at the trail where everybody was heading north to find their gold claims. What made Virginia City so not only haunted today, but famous back in the day?
Well, because the silver. California had their gold rush, and I'm going to say 1848, maybe? 1848, I think. I may be off a couple of years, and then many people rushed to California, and some became very wealthy, and some didn't. Well, in 1858, some of the prospectors from California came up to what we know as Virginia City today looking for gold. And the funny thing is, when they were looking for gold, they would dig around, and they would see these blue rocks. They called it cursed blue stuff, and they would throw it all aside. They didn't want that. They wanted the gold. Well, there was a couple of brothers, Grosh brothers, who were from the East, Philadelphia, I believe, and they knew their metals and knew ores and knew this is silver. So they went out and staked some claims, and sure enough, silver. And when everybody realized, well, we can make a fortune, we can become very wealthy with this silver. So that is why they came all rushing. They called it the rush to Washoe, that they came to Virginia City. And it's haunted because it was a violent time. And a lot of people, a lot of men lost their lives in the mines there. It wasn't like modern-day mining at all. I mean, they'd have a fire in the mine, and there was no escape. And there's many buildings up there, like the Gold Hill, the miner's cabin, which is haunted by some who lost in the Yellow Jacket mine fire. A lot of men lost their lives then. And then, of course, there was a lot of, people would get mad at one another and just shoot each other. Not particularly a lot of gunslingers. Virginia City wasn't really like a lot of gunfighters and gunslingers. It was mostly miners. But when they would drink, they could get just as violent as anybody else. So you had like a lot of violence and greed, everybody trying to get rich, and then a lot of suicide. One book I really enjoy, well, it's actually a 3-part book, and by a man who was there at the time, Alf Doughton's Journals. And anybody who's really wants to know about how day-to-day life was in Virginia City needs to get these 3 set volumes of Alf Doughton's Journals. And talks about, let's say, a wife would be mad at her husband. She'd just run out and kill herself. A man would see that where he had been mining wasn't working, he had no money, he'd kill. I mean, I couldn't, but when you read this and think how these people just, at the drop of the hat, they were killing themselves. So you have all of this that they say gives rise to ghosts is greed, suicide, and murder, all violence. And I believe that's one reason that Virginia City is so haunted. Another one is at one time, there were a lot of psychics and mediums up there, fortune tellers. And I believe when they would have their seances, because the Spiritualist Society was really big up there in the late 1800s, and I believe when they would have their seances and their parties, they would call to oh, you spirits, come. And I think sometimes they may not have sent, when they were done, they didn't say, okay, now we're going to send you back, blah, 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 we don't want to have you around. They didn't do that. They just left it wide open, and I believe that's another reason all this spiritualists and fortune tellers up there.
So with the ghosts there, especially at the Washoe, there is so much going on regarding that. Do you think that's actually a haunting or maybe a skip in time that was the place to go, so that's where everybody congregated and they're still there until this day?
No, I don't know. It could be both. It could be both, but I think it's actually haunted. There's a couple of ghosts there who one time at the Washoe Club upstairs were apartments. And I know of one that killed himself up there. And people have seen him up there to this day, seen him. And like I said earlier, I believe Debbie Constantino is there. I believe that this man is there. And some people say there's children. I've never encountered children up there, but that doesn't mean they're not there. I mean, that doesn't mean at all just because I haven't encountered them. I'll tell you, when Zach and Nick and all of the Ghost Adventures were up there. We did a seance up there in what they called the ballroom. And I was holding Nick's hand. With my right hand, I was holding his left hand. You know, everybody sits around and holds hands.
Yes.
And Dave Schrader, bless his heart, was doing some challenging. Okay, you spirits, you think you're tough. And this was way back in the day. And there's Dave doing the challenging. I'm holding Nick's hand. Nick's hand suddenly gets very cold, and then he jerked like somebody had just come up and smacked him in the head. Now, they didn't smack Dave. They smacked Nick. And I've always kind of laughed about that. I've thought, you know, that wasn't kids that did that, but I think it was somebody up there who they're probably tired of ghost people, actually.
So, what kind of hauntings are happening up there?
Well, I'll tell you, the Union Brewery. Now, that was just on Zach's show, 2 weeks ago, was it? My friend Dawn, she and her husband bought the place. And it had a dark history before they bought it, but they bought it, and they were going to fix it up and make it a great bar and a nice little apartment, and then he passed on. Well, she did. She made a wonderful apartment upstairs, and the bar, it's not open right today or tonight because we're all under shutdown, lockdown, but ordinarily it's open. And she started having a lot of strange activity. Her bed was, and she was, I know Dawn, and she was actually afraid. Her bed was lifted, something lifted her bed off of the floor, and friends were getting accosted, and ghosts were getting fresh with friends. I mean, a lot of weird stuff happening. Well, she would invite us to, you want to come up and spend the night? And I'd think, are you crazy? Not with all this stuff going on. I'm not. But anyway, I was up there, I think the 4th of July, we had a little, like a party up there, broad daylight. And I'm standing by her table talking to her, and something just grabs my sweater and pulls. And I mean, it wasn't like, I'm going to pull you over. It was more like, hey, you need to pay attention to me. So I did a Ghost Hunting 101 class up there, and I'm not sure what evidence, if any, people got, but I do have friends who got EVP and stuff like that in there. So that's one haunting, and I think it's more or less, I don't believe in demons. And people talk about demons, if there's a demon here, there's a demon there. I don't believe in demons. I've never encountered one. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I don't believe in them. I've never encountered one. I believe people, there's good people, there's not so good people, and then there's evil people. And you know, like the Wizard of Oz, how the man, the wizard, is hiding behind the curtain, and
yes,
everybody's frightened. Okay, I think that's what ghosts might do and make people think, I'm a demon, and they're not demons at all. That's my opinion. And everybody has their own opinion in this field, and I'm no more right or no more wrong than anybody else. But I know some people feel that it's demons up there in Dawn's place. I don't believe that. I know that also at the Gold Hill, like I told you, miners from the Yellow Jacket fire, and I believe, no, I'm not even going to guess. I'm so terrible at dates. I'm not even going to guess at that date. But it was in the late 1800s when the Yellow Jacket fire occurred. And some of the spirits there, I was up there with 6 women. There was no men. And this is a cabin. It's away from everything. I mean, fairly away from the hotel. And we were doing an EVP session. And one of our friends, I said to her, now you have to be nice to the ghost. And she said, and she's nothing like this, but she said, do I have to? like a kid might ask. And this woman's an educator. She's nothing like that at all, but it was funny the way she said, "Do I have to?" So we were recording during this session. We played it, and we laughed. We all laughed because that's so out of character for her to speak that way. We played it back, and you could hear us laughing, but you could also hear a man laughing. And we all looked, and they said, well, maybe one of us has a deep laughter. We played it back several times. None of us had laughter that deep. So we assumed that there's a ghost there laughing with us or laughing at us. Who can say what that was? And that's the type of ghost up there. I think they're very interactive. I know some say like place memory, or it's not an interactive. I think up there the ghosts are interactive. And I think if you went up there, you'd be hard-pressed to find a place that wasn't haunted in Virginia City. Although there are some people up there who say, oh, no, we have no ghosts. We don't have any ghosts.
Of course.
Okay, fine. Oh, yeah, fine. And you just have to let it be, whatever. But, yeah, if you were actually up there asking, you'd be very hard-pressed to find a place that didn't have, because so much strange life or activity went on there in the old days.
Who are some of the famous ghosts there?
Okay, now, probably I'm going to knock on that wood again so that I don't take too big of a hit for this one. I believe Mark Twain is there on occasion, and I believe he's there because he started his career there, and he got ran out of town there because he challenged a man to a duel, and Nevada had just passed a law forbidding duels. And he foolishly challenged this man to a duel, so he was ran out of town. He came back years later and witnessed it was a legal hanging, and wrote an article for the Chicago Tribune, I believe, at how he felt about the hanging and everything. But he never came back after that. But I've talked to people who swear up and down they've seen him wandering down the boardwalk. And some have said, yeah, they've tried to interact with him. He just looks at them and walks on. So I believe he's one. Julia Billette was the town prostitute who was murdered, as the books of that era say, so foully and cruelly murdered in her bed. And the man who did that was the hanging, John Mullane, that Mark Twain witnessed, and I believe she's one, and Mark Twain's one, and I don't know. I'd have to probably start digging very deep in my memory to find more famous than those two.
With all of the suicides that have happened there, and this kind of leads to Nikki's question, with all the suicides that were happening there, do you believe there is a lot of negative energy still left over?
No, I don't think so. But now, you know, my husband would disagree. As much as I love Virginia City, he can take it or leave it. He says, there's something negative up here. I don't see that at all. But I guess it's to the individual. Maybe somebody would go in and feel one way and somebody else would go in and feel another way. But I don't think so. I think, you know, a lot of people, a lot of ghost people or paranormal believe that a suicide will guarantee that a person will hang around forever. And that, I believe that to an extent, but it also could be a suicide just automatically. That's it, you're out of here. No, you don't get to see what went after. You don't get any chances. You're out of here. You go wherever you're supposed to go, to the light or the dark, or wherever you're going. You're out of here. And I don't think so. And I think it might put an end to some of the negativity. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't feel any negativity at all in Virginia City. I mean, it's a happy place.
Right. And let's also ask you about a lot of intuitive people head over there. What do the intuitive people pick up when they are there? Is it very active? Are the spirits very communicative?
They are. If it's like this. All I'm saying is my belief, because you can have somebody else on saying their belief. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe there's a lot of facts in ghost hunt. I really don't. I mean, I believe it's a lot of my experiences this way and somebody else's experiences that way. But that said, I think they are, especially when people are open to it. Now, I have a little shop in Virginia City, and it's like I'm a vendor in a little mall there, and I believe very strongly. Of course, I've had experiences. One of the people up there, he doesn't believe at all, and he makes fun. Yeah, sure, I've never seen a ghost, and I always say, okay, that's fine, and you keep saying that, and one day you're going to come to me and say, you know what, you're right. We had some young women, I'd say 19, 20, in the store. And they always say, is this place haunted? And you say, yes. Well, they went to the back of the building, and I don't know where somebody called the ghost Annabelle. And they came running and screaming like the devil himself were after him. Annabelle's going to get us. Annabelle's going to get us. And they weren't acting. They believed this. And I said, do you really believe that ghost is chasing you? And the one girl said, aren't you afraid? And I said, nope. And they ran out of that store. So did some ghost decide, okay, now I'm going to really scare these two young ladies? It's possible. I mean, maybe they went in there saying, oh, we don't believe in ghosts. There's no such thing. I mean, stuff like that, I believe, happens. If you go in saying, I'm not a believer, I believe you just may get more than you bargained for. But it's very popular place to ghost hunt. You know that, yeah.
Absolutely. I still haven't had the opportunity to do that, but I mean, Virginia City is one of the success stories of paranormal tourism. How has the community, accepted the fact that there is a lot going on there and a lot that is bringing new people, new adventures to the community?
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Mention that. My friend Debbie Bender does the Bats in the Belfry ghost tour up there.
Yes.
And she does a wonderful job. Absolutely wonderful. Okay. She and I believe just what you said. We believe that paranormal tourism is very important. I mean, all over the country, not all over the world, probably. Look at Jack the Ripper in Great Britain, that tour. I mean, people are fascinated by it, even if you don't believe in ghosts. Just hearing the stories and being in a place where Mark Twain got his start and all this went on before you, it's fascinating to be in such a place. That said, we had a meeting the other day, and the other night actually, and I suggested to the board, they were talking about history, and Virginia City's very big on history, and if you want, they're doing their history there, and this is the history, and blah, 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 and I believe history too, but I believe history and ghosts go hand in hand. So being the opinionated person I am, I say, I think you're missing the boat by not focusing more on the paranormal. Okay. A couple of them shook their heads, yes. A couple of them looked like me, like I just landed from some planet or something, because they're not interested in the paranormal. They don't even want to discuss it. So it just, some like it and some don't.
We have the same thing in our community happening, where the naivety of so many people cannot get past the tourism revenue that could be made. And in my town, there was a very famous alien abduction back in 1988. The people who've been here since previous to that and during that, they still don't want to talk about it. It's all a bunch of hogwash. Janice, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to go to break here. More of Haunted Nevada with author and researcher Janice Oberding on Spaced Out Radio coming up after this. There we go. There we go. That was a good half hour. Solid half hour. You're pretty solid radio there, Janice. Pretty solid radio. We'll give you a little clap for that.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, why not? We're all good.
Yep.
We're all good.
That's a shame, though, that's a shame about your town, because it's the same way in Virginia City. It's do you realize how much money could be made? But see, I don't know about your town, but in Virginia City, some of those people, their great-grandfather lived there and their great-grandmother. So, and I'm 20 miles from Virginia City. They don't consider me a local. I'm considered an outsider. I mean, it's weird, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling from around here. And you know, it's so funny because the stories that people are missing out on because of ignorance or fear or, you know, they think that it's going to embarrass the community and just a bunch of jargon and bullshit like that. I mean, it's like, grow up, you know, like grow up and
I know.
and understand that you are leaving tourism revenue on the table. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like I do a ghost tour here at the local museum. Well, don't know if it's going to get started this year or not, but we have a bunch of people, you know, even on the board who do not like the tour. And yet they're more than willing to take the, you know, almost $5,000 a year that we raise for the museum, and we don't ask for a thing back. But oh my gosh, you know, to sit there and have to admit that these phenomena and these photographs that are being taken could be real. Oh no. You know, it's stupid and it's silly and it's, you know, there's a lot of ignorance out there. I guess that's the only thing we could really say.
It's short-sighted.
Very.
I have a friend in Florida, and she moved from Illinois there, and so she loves ghosts and the paranormal and history. She immediately started researching, wrote a book about the ghosts there, and tried to get... they don't want to carry it in the museum. They don't want to have anything to do, even though she's a wonderful speaker, knowledgeable about... They don't want anything to do with ghosts. They just want the history. And I told her, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
Beating your head against a brick wall. And it's the same in Virginia City. I mean, Debbie, my friend who does the ghost walk, she always says if she hadn't done her walk, if I hadn't done books, she hadn't done her walk, who the hell would be coming up to Virginia City? Really? You know, but it is what it is.
But they're more than happy to take the money. Every time that cash register goes cha-ching, they're more than happy. You know, when people, you know, ask about, oh, well, we came up here because we heard it's haunted. Oh, yeah, they're more than happy to take the money that goes along with that and the greed. You know, it's so superficial. It's unbelievably superficial.
Let me tell you this before we're back on the air. You know, the Mizpah's very haunted. And the owner, we went down there to investigate her new, and I can't talk about this publicly, her new hotel.
Well, hold on, because remember, we're still live on YouTube. So I don't know if you want to tell that story. I am going to stop you because I do care.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I mean, as much as I'm grinding my teeth now, because now I'm curious and want to hear that story, damn it. But, you know, I don't want to get you in any trouble or anything like that. You're being good to us tonight. So, you know, I don't want you to go through that.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't want to.
Good.
I don't want to burn bridges. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean exactly. Yeah. YouTube crowd's probably going to boo me for that, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yep.
But that's all right. I will deflect it. I have big shoulders.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. I have.
Well, you know, they closed a prison here, and ever since we got to go down and investigate it shortly after it closed, and it's fascinating, and it's haunted. We've been talking these years trying to get them to open it for ghost tours. They've been dragging their feet, but we were told that it may be open now. With everything going on, it may not happen, but it was supposed to be open this summer.
Oh, that'd be cool.
For ghost tour.
That would be cool.
But with everything going on, who can say?
Yeah, we're all up in the air. I know my tour is up in the air right now.
Mhm. Yep. Just have to wait and see, and
that's all we can do.
Hope everything everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. I just hope it works out the way we want it to. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think we're all kind of hoping for that right now.
Mhm. Mhm. You know, I write, so I spend a lot of time in my house writing. You can't write and run all over. And now, because I know I have to be here, I don't want to be here. I want to go here. I want to go there. Yeah.
I know.
The minute they say you can't.
I know. I hear you. I'm getting booed in the YouTube room right now. Oh, you guys are bad. You guys are bad, YouTube. You guys are bad, especially you, Science Bob, and I know you got your cape on. All right. Hey, by the way, YouTube crowd, we also got to give a shout out to Cable Guy Matt. It's his birthday today. Cable Guy Matt's birthday, so make sure you say happy birthday to Cable Guy Matt. I don't know. He pops in and out, so if you see him, say happy birthday. Reminder that the Super Chat is open for you on YouTube, and great way to support our show is to join the Space Travelers Club on our website for $5 a month, or do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Let's get this thing going, shall we? Let's do this.
Spaced Out Radio.
8 seconds, Janice. All right, music's on. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking the time while you're struggling like the rest of us at home, trying to figure out, okay, which snack do I eat next? That's how I am right now, going through my cupboards. I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight we are talking with paranormal researcher and paranormal author Janice Oberding. You go on Amazon and you click on Janice Oberding, and I'll tell you, there are book after book after books popping on up. It's actually kind of cool to see it all, but she keeps busy teaching us all about the hauntings of Nevada. And I have to tell you, Janice, one of my favorite areas, and I don't know why, but every time I drive through Nevada, maybe it's because I love the military. I love anything to do with the military, always have since I was a child. And going through, when you're driving the highway north or south towards Vegas or out of Vegas in Tonopah there, it is absolutely incredible that in the middle of the desert, here you have all of this giant Air Force base, and there's runways and there's planes and drones and trucks and everything that would drive a military geek crazy. Yet Tonopah is very haunted as well. Take us there.
Tonopah is haunted, and it's exactly, give or take a mile or two, exactly halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. And it has a similar history, only a more modern history of Virginia City. That what brought this town into being was silver. But this was in the 1900s, so it was the 20th century. It was the last, I think, first and only and last silver rush in Nevada was Tonopah. And they have a story of how this happened, and I choose to believe it because it's so outlandish. It probably really did happen. A man by the name of Jim Butler was out looking for silver, and his mule, he couldn't find his mule, started calling to the mule, "Where the heck are you?" The mule where he was standing, or she, was silver, a rock, and he realized this is silver. So this is the story of how Tonopah came into being. And every Memorial Day, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, they have Jim Butler Days, and they have a parade, and all the places open, the museum opens, and it's really fascinating to go and see how this small town still enjoys their history and their paranormal. There's the Mizpah Hotel there that's very haunted. I know Bill and I've stayed there numerous times, and one of the first times we ever stayed there, we were waiting for the ghost, and we were getting tired. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Where is this ghost? We looked up, and we see this like glowing green, maybe 5-foot tall form walk from one side of the hall right through the wall of the next. Well, we had seen all we probably were going to see that night, and there's a legend connected with that, which I believe, but the state historian has told me, this 20 years ago, the state historian told me, no, that didn't happen, but I still believe it did. And there was a politician, and Key Pittman, and he was running for Senate. Well, he happened to have a heart attack, was it 2 or 3 nights before the election. They put his body on ice at the Mizpah, and after he won the election, then they thawed him out and announced that he had died of a heart attack. I believe that story because that sounds like something somebody in politics might do. I mean, I believe it very strongly, but the historian says no. Now, he does haunt the Mizpah. My daughter-in-law's seen him a couple of times. Didn't know who she was seeing, but she says there's this horrible old man walking around, and I don't like the way he looks. So I took her to the library and pointed out a picture of Key Pittman and said, "Is that the guy?" "Oh, yeah, that's him." Okay. They had the Air Force Base, which I like to call the jinxed Air Force Base out there during World War II. And if you get a chance to go to the Central Nevada Museum, Alan Metcher is an expert on Nevada history, and he was born in Goldfield. And he knows that area like the back of his hands. He is not into the paranormal, not one bit. But I can tell you, he can take a pair of dowsing rods and go out, because he does this. And if they're looking for bodies were buried, well, let's find exactly where the graves are, because the headstones have rotted away. He can find where the bodies are using his dowsing rods. And when you say, "Do you think that's paranormal?" he says, "No, that's not paranormal. That's just energy." Okay. But he is an expert, and sometimes, not always, he will take people out. I believe it's about 7 miles out. You should do this, Dave. It's about 7 miles outside of Tonopah. And they call it the cursed or the haunted Air Force Base.
Really?
Because so many training pilots lost their lives while they were training there in World War II.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And he's gathered up parts of the planes and stuff over the years. But it's fascinating. What's left of the hangars look like somebody put together with toothpicks. I mean, because they've almost rotted away over the years. But it's still an interesting place to go see. And one thing has nothing to do with ghosts about Tonopah. Late at night, the most beautiful stars in the world. We don't get to see many in Reno because of all the light pollution. And I guess Las Vegas the same way. But there in Tonopah, beautiful, beautiful stars, some of the clearest skies.
Well, that's very nice. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
With the ghosts that are there, and Mr. Skeptic on Twitter brought up the fact of the Clown Hotel. I'm telling you right now, I'm never staying there because I can't stand clowns. But when you get places that are a little bit more eclectic like that, do they thrive on the hauntings of the paranormal as well?
They do, and as a matter of fact, Bill and I stopped when we were down there, a month ago? I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and met the Crown Motel has a new owner. And he is the nicest guy, and I don't think he really thinks too much.
In just a second, but there we go. But in regards to the fact that many young pilots were killed there, do you still hear the planes roaring at night? Do you hear the crashes? Do you hear the pilots still going to their private bar, going for a drink afterwards? How does that work?
No, actually, the EVP that friends have collected and that I've heard from there is more like you hear people talk, like voices, like they're maybe they're at a bar, I don't know, but like they're all together and they're making plans. Okay, we're going to do this and this and this. That's what you generally hear. I haven't heard anything about the planes, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't occurred or doesn't happen at all. I haven't heard anything about it. But that's a good question. If they could get somebody to go out there and just set up a recorder and let it go for hours, maybe that would happen. I mean, they actually discontinued using that base for a training facility because of all the people. I don't know exactly how many, but it was a lot. And Alan has wrote a book about that. I don't even remember the name of it, but like I said, the next time you're in Tonopah, if you go to the Central Nevada Museum, he and his brothers founded that museum, and he is an expert on that area.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, he does not believe in the paranormal. I told you that. But there's a story, and I wrote about this in the Goldfield Hotel. There was a man who committed suicide and in the Goldfield. He was an employee.
Right.
And Alan's grandmother was a maid there back in the early 1900s. She went to work one morning, and this man, I don't even remember his name, greeted her, "Hi, how's it going?" Da-da-da, and she went about her work. About 3 hours into her shift, somebody came to her and said, "It is sure a shame about so-and-so." And she asked, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, he shot and killed himself last night." She said, "No, that's impossible. He greeted me at the door this morning." And they looked at her like she had lost her mind. Well, he killed himself last night. And
weird.
That woman was Alan's grandmother. And Alan does not believe in the paranormal. And when I ask, how do you explain that? He can't.
Very interesting.
I mean, it won't. Who can say? I mean, but before we leave the Tonopah Air Base, I just thought, Steve Yeager, the pilot.
Chuck Yeager?
One of those, Chuck Yeager, excuse me, Steve Yeager. Okay, Chuck Yeager. He flew. And if you're there, you can see, remember I told you the hangars look like toothpicks?
Yes.
On a dare, he flew some airplane through that hangar.
Oh, wow. That would have been awesome to see.
Yeah. Yep.
That would have been just
when you
awesome.
Look at it and think, you think, ugh. So it's a very interesting place. They call it the cursed air base, the haunted air base. I believe a lot of them are still there. A lot of the airmen and even some of the women who worked in the offices and things like that, I believe they're still there because, like I told you, of the conversations that have been recorded. And you really can't make out exactly what they're saying, but you can hear the conversations going on.
Nevada has always been a violent state. I mean, going back to the silver and gold rush, along with, being part of the Wild West, along with, the establishments of Reno and Las Vegas and all the casino communities that were run by and set up by mob bosses. It's just amazing how incredibly dangerous this state was at a number of points in its establishment. You know, when you go across the state and you look at Reno or you look at Las Vegas or wherever in between, I mean, there's got to be still hundreds, if not thousands, of deep, dark ghost stories that you haven't even uncovered yet, Janice.
Sometimes I think so, and other times I think I can't find any more. I mean, I'll tell you one I think is interesting is at the Flamingo. And you know, now that was Bugsy Siegel started the Flamingo with mob money. He came out and he was the original one who was overseeing it. I'm not sure if some say he was stealing money or others say he just was inept at business. And the rumor, that the builders would come in the morning with all of their equipment and the necessary building materials and work all day. They'd drive out with all the materials after everybody went home and come back through the next morning with the same building materials, wanting to be paid for more building materials, and they were getting paid for it. So the Flamingo, the mob lost a lot of money on the Flamingo. Opening night, it was pouring rain in Los Angeles, and Bugsy had made plans to fly all these big stars and all the moneyed folk in, and they were going to gamble, and the money was going to flow, and his bosses were going to be so thrilled, but they couldn't get them there. The ones that were there, after a while, they got tired. They'd been sitting at the machines hours, and they were tired. He hadn't completed the hotel, so they had no place for them to sleep. So they had to take their money and go somewhere else. Well, that didn't make his bosses happy at all. And eventually, he got killed in Beverly Hills. And nobody knows. I mean, I think they have a good idea, but nobody knows who actually did it. Now, he had a penthouse there at the Flamingo that was bulletproof. He had a secret escape in his closet where he could drop down to a garage and be driven away in a bulletproof limousine if anybody came to kill him. But he didn't have that in Beverly Hills. He was at his girlfriend Virginia Hills, and he was murdered. Okay, in the 50s, now the rumor is for many years that Bugsy was haunting that penthouse. And I always believed that. I mean, he really liked the Flamingo, and I could see his ghost going from Beverly Hills back to the Flamingo. And then what you talk about, researching, I found, to me it was very interesting, this young couple had come to Las Vegas from Los Angeles to get married. And they happened to rent for I think 3 or 4 days, Bugsy Siegel's old penthouse. I don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. The boyfriend went down and bought a gun and came back up and shot his girlfriend and then himself in Bugsy Siegel's penthouse. I say, how do we know that isn't him and his girlfriend? Or him, the man's usually the one seen, instead of Bugsy. It's not like, okay, I saw him. It's not like, it's like maybe a glowing figure or something moves or something. Well, how do we know? It could just as easily be this person as it is Bugsy Siegel. But it's easy because Bugsy Siegel, it's easy to say, oh, Bugsy Siegel, he's more famous than if you say, well, this guy did, who cares? I mean, and I think that sometimes a lot of what we say is a famous person haunting is just some everyday person who might have lost their life or something in the same place.
Could very well be.
But I'll tell you, in Las Vegas is the only city, and if somebody knows different, please correct me, but as far as I know, it's the only city in the United States that has a monument to a mobster or gangster killer. There's that big monument to Bugsy Siegel out in the Rose Garden.
I'd have to check that out.
Yeah. If next time you're in Vegas, go and look. I mean, and it's a beautiful area, and people have said, oh, we see Bugsy in this area. I think, okay, I can see Haunt in this place because all the roses, and they used to have a koi pond. I'm not sure. I haven't been there in probably 10 years, but they used to have a koi pond there, and very nice. But I think that's kind of Las Vegas. They have a lot of stuff that no other city has.
That is very true. And they're not ashamed about their history either. But I have heard, and as we only got about 2 minutes to go here, 3 minutes to go, I have heard that it is very difficult to actually investigate in downtown Las Vegas, where all of the fun stuff would be, even on the old strip, you know, because they don't want to scare the tourists off who may be freaked out about that. Is that true?
Oh, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. You know, I wrote a book about Vegas about 18 years ago. I don't know, give or take. And I wrote about Liberace's ghost at his restaurant. That's all gone, so you can't investigate there anymore. I wrote about Elvis's ghost. The area is all gone. Liberace's house that I investigated, and that was phenomenal. I mean, my mom had an experience, and she's a big skeptic herself, that you can't do anymore. I mean, you're absolutely right. Don't go to a casino and start talking about ghosts because they're afraid. They say gamblers are superstitious, and if you go in there and start talking about ghosts, you're going to scare them away, and they don't want you scaring the people, the money away. So that is absolutely true.
So how do you go about investigating that side of the paranormal in some place like that, as we got about a minute to go here?
Well, you can't. I mean, you have to be very careful. Like if I wanted to investigate something in the Luxor, which I believe there's a couple of spots that are very haunted, I would just go in there with my recorder and hope that I wouldn't have too much other noise going on. That's the best I could do. And then if some security guard saw you, they might come up and say, what are you doing? Stop that, blah, blah, blah. Because they are not, unless you're going to put down probably a couple of $1 million, and even then I don't think they're going to let you in there at all. But now might be a good time. I'm only kidding. Yeah. With everything closed up.
No kidding. No kidding. Janice, I'm going to get you to hold on. We have you for another half an hour on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to talk about Haunted Reno coming up after this. We'll continue with Haunted Las Vegas as we're talking Haunted Nevada all night long here on the Mighty SOR with author and longtime paranormal researcher Janice Oberding. Oh, yeah, you can find all of her books on Amazon. Stay tuned. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, Janice, you just sit tight. Hour 3 will start in a few minutes. I'm just going to run my dogs outside one more time.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get bumblefucked?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajons.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
All right. I am back. How you doing?
Okay.
We've got 3 minutes.
Good.
3 minutes
Okay.
here, and we're just hanging on out. And when we get to break at the next half hour, when I say goodnight to you, just hold on until I go to break, and then I'll say goodnight to you that way.
Okay. Okay.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. Anytime. You're fun. Why wouldn't we have you back? All right. I hope you're enjoying yourself too.
I am.
The main
yes.
thing. That's the main thing. So when you're not out looking at for hauntings, what else do you do?
Well, I like to do photography, and I read a lot and write.
Oh, very nice.
I'm kind of a workaholic too. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I know the feeling about being a workaholic. That is for sure. You have to be in this field.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excuse me. All right, we got about 90 seconds, and I'll reintroduce the show and reintroduce you.
Okay.
And then we are off and running. How we doing, YouTube crowd? How we doing? I hope we're having a good night out there, enjoying yourself as we kick off another week here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, especially during these trying, hard times that we are all going through right now. But hey, we're here to keep our chins up and have a good time, right? That's what it's all about. I want to remind all of you that the Super Chat is open, along with the fact that if you want to support us, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, pick yourself up some really cool swag. We'd really appreciate it if you were walking around in one of our t-shirts, hoodies, whatever, you name it, we got it. So check it on out if you don't mind. We'd greatly appreciate that. And like I said, we got Janice for another 30 minutes on the show, and then we'll get into the Newswire and the Thought of the Day. So stay tuned, because we're going to get going in like 5 seconds or something like that. It'll be a lot of fun. Here we go. Let's do this thing.
Sales at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to give a shout out to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, along with our digital side on Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Whoop high. Whoop Pie, or Whoopie. The Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest, author Janice Oberding. She's taken us through a plethora of hauntings through the state of Nevada. She is one of the top researchers and writers in the state when it comes to everything paranormal. Janice, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm still here.
Me too. Well, I'm glad you're still here. Otherwise, we'd be interviewing a ghost right now.
Yep.
All right. Let's stick with Las Vegas for a second, because, you know, it's very difficult to investigate anywhere in downtown Las Vegas because of the casinos and the superstition that goes along with that. Mm-hmm. What is the attitude towards the paranormal then in Vegas if it's so difficult to investigate there?
Well, there's a lot of paranormal investigators in Las Vegas. And there's a ghost tour in Las Vegas. I think the attitude is, as long as you stay away from what, you know, we're doing, like the casinos, you're fine. I believe that's most likely it. I do think that investigators have a real tough time there, unless you know somebody. I mean, it's always easier if you know somebody to get into certain locations. But yeah, I imagine they have a pretty tough time finding places to investigate.
Now, granted,
it's a different sort of place.
Yeah, granted that, like you said, there's a lot of superstition that goes along with that, because gamblers are very superstitious type people. However, with that being said, you know, if you know, we've seen casinos close over time, and maybe before they get torn down, they end up being blown up. Have you ever had an opportunity to investigate any of those casinos that were shut down?
No. I know that Zach Bagans has done some, but no. There again, I think it's really who you know, whether you're going to get in there. And unfortunately, I don't know too many people, you know, in that industry, or that I could get in and do something like that. But I believe that's probably it.
That makes sense.
I wish I did.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to somewhere closer to home for you, like in Reno, you know, what's the difference between, say, hauntings that are happening in Vegas and hauntings that are happening in Reno? Is Reno a little bit more open?
Some more, but the casinos, you know, there's not as many casinos in Reno. I haven't found a problem. I've really not investigated any casinos. I once did a bus tour out of one of the casinos, the El Dorado. I mean, we would pick up people at the El Dorado, and you know, they didn't. I'm sure if I'd have said I want to investigate the showroom, they'd said get out of here. But no, maybe not any easier. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the ghosts that are hanging around Reno?
Well, we have a bridge downtown, and it goes over the Truckee Meadows, and it's fairly new. I think it's the third bridge in that space, and this one's 4 years old now. But in 1891, a man named Luis Ortiz was lynched on the original bridge there. And he was lynched because he was a ranch hand. He came into town, got drunk, and started shooting anything that moved. Well, when the constable went down to stop him, he shot the constable. They rushed old Luis to jail and took the constable to his doctor's house. And the doctor came out and told the news that, you know, he doesn't have a chance. Constable Nash, he's a goner. He's going to die. Well, he was a very popular man. This didn't sit well with. We had a group called the 601, and they were a group of vigilantes made up of probably some very prominent men at the time, but nobody knew or wouldn't admit who they were. They rushed the jail when they heard that Constable Nash was, you know, on his last legs, pulled old Luis up to the bridge and gave him a drink of whiskey and sent him off to the hereafter. Well, a few days after Luis was nothing but a memory, Constable Nash made a full recovery. So they lynched Luis Ortiz for nothing. And he's been cited. I believe it's him. When people say we see a man walking, I've had people say, well, I've seen a man walking toward me, and he looks like he wants to say something, and he turns and walks away, and he's gone. And I think that's probably Luis. I think if I were Luis, I'd be haunting the bridge, too, because he got such a dirty deal. And another one, earlier I talked about how we might think it's a famous ghost when actually it's just a normal person. And I shouldn't say normal, as if celebrities aren't normal. I mean, it's just an everyday person. Okay, well, Marilyn Monroe made her last film called The Misfits in Reno in 1960, and she stayed at the Mapes Hotel, which now is just a lot. There's no hotel there anymore. And at the time, she was having marital difficulties, and she was drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, and just not having a very good go of it. Okay. Well, a lot of people have said they've seen her walking across that lot over the years. Oh, they describe her, and they even say, well, when I've had security guards who worked there at the time say, oh, I saw Marilyn Monroe in the Mapes Hotel. Just a block away, the Hotel Golden burned down in 1962, and the only person killed in it was a blonde showgirl named Carol May. And I say, why couldn't that be Carol May walking around that lot instead? I mean, it could be Marilyn Monroe, but it could just as easily be this Carol May. I mean, it's a blonde woman. So there's that. And then we have one that's, I think it's fascinating to me, is Roy Fritsch. He disappeared. He was a bank teller, at the Riverside Bank, which was run by George Wingfield, who happened to be a big muck-a-muck in Goldfield. He was the one, people say his ghost haunts the Goldfield Hotel. Well, he came up here to Reno and built a mansion, and he was the wealthiest, most powerful man in Nevada. But he was hanging around with some underworld figures here in Reno. When gambling wasn't legalized, he was hanging around with people who were doing illegal gambling and prohibition and drinking and things they weren't supposed to do. Roy Fritch was a teller, and he more or less knew all the secrets that were going on in Wingfield's bank. And he agreed to testify in federal court against the two underworld figures, Graham and McKay, who were hanging out with Wingfield. But before he did testify, the night before, he lived with his mom and I think 2 sisters. He walked downtown to see a movie. Okay? Sometime, and people saw him at the theater. Sometime on his way home, he disappeared, and he's not been seen hide nor hair of since. His house is still there. Very haunted. It's now an attorney's office, and I've had people who worked there over the years tell me that they've had things misplaced and noise and stuff like that. I believe it's him. A few years after he disappeared, a man in Alcatraz, an inmate, said, "Oh, I know where his body is. If you let me out, I'll tell you. Babyface Nelson and I shot him. We put him in the car and shot him and took him out to the desert." Well, they let him out of Alcatraz and drove him all over northern Nevada looking for exactly where they buried the body. They never found it. But they do believe his story that Babyface Nelson killed old Roy Fritch. So Roy Fritch is pretty upset and still walking the area.
That's kind of weird.
And it is weird, but you know, New York has the ancient story of Judge Crater went out to get, I think, a taxi and nobody's seen him since. Well, Roy Fritch is our answer to New York's Judge Crater story. I mean, to me, there's nothing more, I guess, disturbing than someone just to vanish, disappear like that. I mean, imagine his poor old mom. And worse than that, she lived right across the street from the 2 men that the police and everybody believed were responsible for his disappearance, but couldn't find any evidence against them.
Interesting.
I mean, can you imagine that? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, when somebody just disappears like that, that's disturbing because, well, what happened? Well, where are they? I mean, and so I can certainly see why that would give rise to some haunting. I mean, like Amelia Earhart. I know every once in a while they'll say, "Oh, we found the bones, we have evidence," but do they really? Have they ever really for certain said what happened to her? I mean, it's disturbing. And then Babyface Nelson, he was in town, and his ghost, they say there's an alley in downtown Reno that he supposedly runs down, and it shoots at people. I mean, he's a ghost, so there's no need to start ducking and everything. But another one that's disturbing is we had a woman named Priscilla Ford who she had issues, and she was mad at social services, and Thanksgiving 1980, she got in her Lincoln and just drove right down the busy sidewalk because at that time, before gambling was all over the country, we had a lot. It was very busy here on Thanksgiving. A lot of tourists came here or to Vegas. She got in that car and just drove down the sidewalk, plowing people down as she drove. Wow. And as you can imagine, I used to do a ghost walk downtown, and I'd have people, I would always say, okay, who considers themselves sensitive? And we'd walk down there, and I wouldn't say what happened. And people would, some people would start getting nauseous. Some of the women would cry and stuff. Now I tell them before we go, but I used to not. I would just see what they would say, and it's surprising how many people would pick up some of what went on there.
considering, when everybody thinks of Nevada, they think of Las Vegas, they think of Reno, they think of Lake Tahoe, Area 51, maybe Laughlin and Virginia City. Outside of that, what is the most popular or the most haunted place that nobody knows about in Nevada?
Okay. I would say one of the most is Eureka, Nevada. And it is the cutest little town, the nicest, friendliest people. It's one of the rare places, and I'm knocking on wood here again to hope the city fathers never change this. When you pull into town and wherever you go, I'm here to talk about ghosts, they're there to tell you about their ghost. There's no, we don't know about it. They have the opera house there. It's the Eureka Opera House, very haunted. We've done several investigations in there. Beautiful building. They have the tunnels, the Eureka that you can go in there. I think Zach might have even done that. And in one place, I don't know if they're still doing it, but one event, Bill and I were in there, and we were doing an investigation in a garage. And I guess back in the 30s or 40s, there was cars being repaired and stuff in that garage. And one of the people involved in this had their sons. I guess they were about 12. And my first thought when I saw those kids, I thought, these kids, what are they going to add to the investigation? Surprisingly, those kids added a lot. They were asking questions like, if I had a flat tire, how long would it take you to fix that flat tire? Are you sure? How would you know the difference between a battery, my battery's not working, or this? I mean, I was impressed with the questions those kids were answering, and they were getting pretty good results with EVP, and they were using dowsing rods. So the garage, I believe, was really haunted, too. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. They had an event there every year, a paranormal event, and the whole town participated, all the merchants, the hotels. It was wonderful, the Jackson Hotel. It's really a nice place. This is the problem. It's clear across the state, and you're going to go on the loneliest highway in the country to get there, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if you've traveled much on Nevada's loneliest highway, but it's not overrated. It is lonely out there. You can think like the Pony Express rode this highway. Oh, they weren't riding the highway, but they rode this trail, and you can almost see them. You can almost imagine, because you're out there, and it's that desolate. That's one of the problems. The other problem is it gets so cold there. I mean, in the summer, not so bad until, way late in the evening. But it's a wonderful little town, and the people are very kind, very nice. I've always enjoyed my time in Eureka.
How cold does it get?
Well, you're in Canada, right? So maybe to you, you might say, to me, it gets really cold. I would say close to zero, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's still T-shirt weather. That's still T-shirt weather.
Yeah. Yep, for you. Yep. So then it wouldn't bother you. But it's a great little place to explore.
Yes.
And to go do some ghost hunting. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds just wonderful. Janice Oberding is our guest tonight. We have you for about another 4 minutes tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Out of all the books you have written, which one are you most proud of?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Probably, I just finished writing 2 books that one of them is going to be published in July. And it's not a ghost book. It's a true crime book about Las Vegas. And when I finished it, they sent me the editing, and I told my husband, I don't mean to brag, but the writing's really good. Okay, what writer doesn't say that about? Yeah. So that would be it. My true crime about Vegas. I think that's no ghost, but true crime, and I believe those connected too.
Well, when that comes out, we're going to have to bring you back. We're definitely going to have to bring you back to discuss that, because that sounds very, very intriguing. Very intriguing. And we like to do some true crime on here every now and again, and I would love to be able to do that. That's for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, look at that. Just that simple. Boom. Another booking, just like that. But when is that book due out?
July 27th, I think, this year.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Can you give us a little sneak peek of what people can expect in that one?
Well, okay. I start in the earliest of Vegas. There's an unsolved murder there from early days Las Vegas that's never been solved. Well, some scientists say it has. A lot of mob killings, because the mob is fascinating and cold-blooded like sharks. I mean, there was no feeling or anything. Wham, you're doing wrong, we're going to kill you. A lot of mob killing, a lot of, to me, the senseless killings of people. Somebody thinks somebody cheated him out of drug money, and they torture, and just different things like that. I know sometimes when I was working on writing this book, I'd have to walk away. I can't believe how horrible people can be. But yeah, all in all, I think it's good.
That is very intriguing. I'm very curious to see that one, and cannot wait for that one to come out in July, because I just love stories like that. I think they just are so intriguing, and as much as they are vile in the aspects of the topic, there's just something about the true crime aspect that just is fascinating. So good on you for that.
Oh, well, I got to tell you, one interesting thing, and I interviewed a man who had been in prison 25 years for a murder he didn't commit, and everybody said, a lot of people believe that he did commit the murder, and he kept saying he didn't. He did. It was the weirdest crime, and I took what I had written about him and showed him. And he said, "Oh, no, I didn't do all this. This didn't happen." And I said, "Well, that's what the news, that's what the court, that's what everybody says." He said, "No, I didn't do it." Well, luckily, he just got pardoned. I still had time to write about him being pardoned in the book.
Oh, cool.
So luckily I got that in there. But yeah, that was interesting too, that crime. You think nobody would believe that. And yet he spent 25 years in prison for it. And you think that is the most craziest scheme in the world. But yeah, 25 years.
We'll look forward to that. Janice Oberding, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio, sharing us a lot of really cool stories that you've written about. All of Janice's books can be found on Amazon, so make sure you check them on out. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio after this. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Now,
thank you for having me.
Oh, no, yeah. I definitely want to get you back on when your book comes out. Can you stay in touch with us or with myself or Corey about that? Because we would definitely want to get you back on in July or early August to make sure that happens.
Okay, I will. I will.
Good. We look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, Janice. You have a wonderful night, and stay safe from all this virus stuff.
You too.
Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.
I really liked her. I really, really liked her. She just was so matter of fact about her research and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed her too, because yeah, like Corey, I definitely want to bring her back, and in July or early August in order to do that true crime book. So make sure you pencil that one on the schedule for booking in late June or something like that. I know it's kind of weird that I'm talking to you, Corey. In the meantime, we got like a bunch of other people in the chat room like, oh, okay, all right, let's just do that and hang on out and, Shangri-La and, whatever. We got some cool news tonight. Very, very cool news. So make sure you stick around and have some fun. Have some fun with us. Some good laughs. Some very, very good laughs. Mm-hmm. What is this? Anywho, sorry. I'm just checking out all the comments, keeping up to date on what's going on. Great interview with the guest tonight. Thank you, Redheaded Lisa. Appreciate that. Nick to the N. Thank you for coming on in. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Who else we got? Maureen is here. Hi, Maureen. Nikki, how are you? Poetically Mistaken. How you doing, buddy? Hope you had a good weekend. All right. Who else? Chris Mo. Wayland. Now, are you guys all sharing this show on your social media? I want to see all of you start sharing this show on your social media, if you don't mind. Would that be too much to ask? If it is, just ignore me. Just ignore me if it is. I hope it's not. Hi, Sandra. Anyhow, I hope it's not, but if it is, do us a favor. Share away on that. Share away. Funny, Mooney's talking about Jim Morris and was just thinking about him the other day and what he's doing. Who he's haunting? I had like a 2-hour nap today on my couch. I should have been cleaning up certain areas, my workbench and everything, because it's totally disorganized. But I decided to nap on the couch instead, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I really don't. All right, we got about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. To 2 minutes. Let's see here. What's going on here? I hate naps. Naps are such a waste of time, but I got this one couch that just literally the minute I sit on it, within like 10 minutes, I am like out. It's like this giant couch, and I just kind of sink into it, and it's just like, whatever. It's amazing. I love my couch. All right, about 45 seconds. Dave always is tired. Dave's brain does not turn off right now, to be absolutely blunt. We were on such a bloody roll
Hello, space travelers. It's me again.
On getting stations and getting people all excited about the show up until the virus hit, and it's like everything just stopped on the business side, and it sucks. But not much I can do. The main thing is that we're all safe, we're all sound, and we're all hanging out together. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Hold on. Here we go. Let's go to the news, shall we? We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? And this is how it ends. Yeah, let's do it. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, and sometimes the awesomely haunted. Who's a fan of the Foo Fighters out there? I know I am. Dave Grohl, awesome. It's funny because I never could stand Nirvana when they were out in the early to mid 90s. Never liked them, but with the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl is awesome, and he seems like such a cool guy up on stage. Well, the Foo Fighters reportedly faced something entirely paranormal while making their 10th album. Yeah, Ghosts. Yeah, Dave Grohl says they were recording in a house in Encino, California, of 40s construction, where they recorded. Well, apparently it had a pretty sinister past. He says, when we walked into the house in Encino, I knew the vibes were definitely off, but the sound was bloody on. And then he goes on to say, we started working there, and it wasn't long before things started happening. We would come back to the studio the next day, and all of the guitars would be detuned. Or the settings we put on the board, all of them had gone back to zero, he continued. We would open up a Pro Tools session, and tracks would be missing. There were some tracks that were put on there that we didn't put on there. But just like the weird open mic noises, nobody playing an instrument or anything like that, just an open mic recording a room. And we were like, I got to edit out the swear words here. And he's like, and we'd zero in on the sounds within that, and we didn't hear any voices or anything really decipherable, but something was happening. The group attempted to document the paranormal phenomena with a Nest Cam to take video of the studio. When they weren't there, we started to see things on the Nest Cam that we couldn't explain, Grohl said. So he took it to the homeowner, who detailed the house's illustrious past, but Grohl won't say what he's found. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement with the landlord because he's trying to sell the place, he said. So I can't give away what's happened there in the past, but these multiple occurrences over a short period of time made us finish the album as quickly as we could. Miraculously, they finished the recording and got the heck out of there. One of the songs on the album features a riff that Grohl has been refining for the last 25 years. The first time I demoed it was in my basement in Seattle, he said. The Foo Fighters, of course, course, are not the first band to record under supernaturally daunting circumstances. Black Sabbath infamously wrote their 1973 album, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, in a haunted castle. The Red Hot Chili Peppers encountered ghosts at a building dubbed The Mansion while making Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Nine Inch Nails cut the downward spiral in a home where Sharon Tate lived at the time of the Manson Massacre. And Radiohead worked on an OK computer in a house Tom York described as very haunted. Remember the whole detuning of the guitars? Go back to our episode of Halloween 2018. In the second half hour of that show, you'll hear Ron Bumblefoot Thal talking about how his band was in Europe and they were having their guitars detuned while they're playing on stage because there was like a ghost or something on the stage that didn't want them playing there or was just messing around with them. The Tokyo Olympics looks like they're going to be postponed until 2021, as veteran IOC member Canadian Dick Pound said. The International Olympic Committee member has stated the competition will not take place as planned this year. On the basis of the information the IOC has, postponement has been decided. Oh, this sucks. This really sucks. The parameters going forward have not been determined, but the games are not going to start on July 24th. That much Pound knows. He says it will come in stages. We will postpone this and begin to deal with all the ramifications of moving this, which are immense. Responding to Pound's comments, an IOC spokesman said, well, as we announced yesterday, we are looking at scenarios. It follows Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has conceded that a delay to the Tokyo Olympic Games could be inevitable as the world continues to battle the coronavirus pandemic. On Monday, Abe told Parliament that Japan was still committed to hosting a complete Games, but added if that becomes difficult in light of considering athletes first, it may become inevitable that we make a decision to postpone. Now, the Canadian Olympic Association, Team Canada, has stated that they will not be sending Team Canada to Japan for the Olympics because of the coronavirus. Team Australia has now announced that they will not send any athletes either. The IOC has said it would hold discussions that would include an option of putting back the July 24 start date or even moving the games by a year or more due to the coronavirus, but said canceling the games would not solve problems or anybody else's help. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach sent a letter to athletes explaining the decision and why it might take so long, while acknowledging also the extended timeline might not be popular. He says, I know that this is an unprecedented situation, leaving many of your questions open, he wrote. I also know that this is rational approach may not be in line with the emotions of many of you have to go through. The IOC's move seems inevitable for a week, with pressure mounting from all quarters, athletes, sponsors, broadcasters, and more than 200 national Olympic committees and international sports federations. Yeah. All right. This one's going to upset you. All right, this is what happens when we allow children to play soccer instead of real sports. All right. A pair of teenagers filmed themselves coughing near customers and produce at a grocery store, sparking a police investigation. Now, this happened in Purcellville, Virginia last Wednesday at a grocery store and prompted the store to discard some fresh produce amid concerns about the coronavirus outbreak. In a news release, the police department said officers identified the juveniles involved, notified their parents, and questioned them. The two juveniles admitted their involvement, police said, but it was determined that there was no criminal intent. An investigation found the teenagers were getting close to other patrons and coughing in their own sleeves while filming it on their phones. Store employees had believed the teenagers were deliberately coughing on produce and quickly discarded some of the items, but police said the investigation concluded no customers or produce had been coughed or spat at directly. After viewing the video footage, officers determined no actual customers or produce were spit or coughed on directly, but we appreciate the store's swift action in reporting the incident to police and removing any items in question to ensure the health of store patrons and employees. Police added that they would not release the footage or name of the teenagers as they are minors. They warned parents to monitor their children's activities, including their use of social media. With school closures in effect, this allows for more idle time among children, especially teenagers who are not often supervised as closely. Police also urge parents to explain to children why such behavior is wrong, especially given the current situation regarding the spread of coronavirus. It comes after a Wisconsin woman allegedly licked the door handle of a grocery store freezer in an attempt to protest against the coronavirus pandemic. The incident reportedly occurred as the store manager was disinfecting the freezer door handles at a Festival Foods store in Marshall, Wisconsin last week. In another incident, a man dressed in a hazmat suit went into a Walmart store in Vegas and sprayed 13 people with an unknown substance. There are more than 35,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. right now, according to the latest figures from Johns Hopkins University. 473 people have died, including 2 in Virginia. Globally, the coronavirus has sickened more than 350,000 people and killed more than 15,000. More than 100,000 people, though, have recovered from this disease. You know, every time there's a little darkness, you know what, before I start that, I do have to say this. I went to my local grocery store today. This is the first time I have been out in public in like a week and a half. And I had to go get some dog food. Because the puppies, well, they like to eat too. And I got to tell you, I was so excited to go to my local grocery store. And I got to tell you, it was so anticlimactic. I walk in there, there's food all over the place, drinks all over the place, toilet paper all over the place. Nobody's brawling, nobody's yelling, nobody's getting into it. I couldn't videotape a gosh darn thing. I was disappointed. I wanted brawling. I wanted people crying. I wanted to snap on someone. You know, I tinfoiled up my wrists. I put my, remember back in the 80s where we wore leather jackets with big spikes coming out of them? Yeah, I wore one of those. I took a piece from Moon Joey in our chat room on the SOR Space Travelers Club. I wore a bandana around my eyes, sunglasses, bandana around my mouth and nose and sunglasses. I was ready to brawl. And nothing. Thank goodness. I say that all in jest. But you know what? If we shop responsibly right now, on a serious note, if we shop responsibly, we're all going to get ahead here. We're all going to get ahead, which is really cool. And that's exactly what I saw today. Pardon the Canadian humor there. You know what? Speaking of good news, if you're in Portland, they are delivering. So all the strip clubs have been closed down in Portland. But this is what's happening. The dancers are willing to do deliveries. So that's what's happening at the Lucky Devil Lounge on Powell Boulevard. The club was forced to close with Governor Kate Brown's mandate to stem the spread of coronavirus, but takeout orders are being delivered by the strippers themselves. The home delivery service, in which a pair of scantily clad strippers will deliver hot food to your door, started as a joke. Yeah, but Sean Bolden saying, this is a pretty good idea. When people began seriously inquiring about orders, he saw potential. So while the rest of Portland was hoarding toilet paper and pasta, he went out and bought the store's local stock of pasties. What? Apparently so. Yeah, Boober Eats is what he's calling it. Delivers from 7 p.m. to 1 p.m. And to get Boober, you just make a phone call to the Lucky Devil Lounge, put in an order. The prices have remained the same on the menu. Delivery rates are generally $30, but vary depending on the distance from the lounge. He says if someone wants to give us a couple $100 to go to the coast, hell, we'll do it, as long as the girls are taken care of, he says. Popular orders include chicken fingers, steak bites, and mini corn dogs. All the calls, people are just giddy and fun, Bolden said. Sometimes it's a surprise for someone. Sometimes it's a birthday. Sometimes it's people that are just really, really stoned. All the dancers are driven and escorted by a security guard, and there's at least one rule that carries over from the strip club to the pandemic. No touching the dancers. Oh, that's a beautiful story, Captain Shirk. Beautiful story. That's happening in your backyard as well. How long until Captain Shirk actually makes that phone call? That's what I want to know. Anyhow, all right. Thousands of spring breakers in Florida have once again defied a state order to stop mass gatherings amid the outbreak as they partied on yachts at sea. Government officials in Boca Raton shared images of revelers drinking on several boats in the water surrounding Peanut Island. One image showed at least 15 boats gathered in one large spot in the middle of the water as passengers partied. Shortly after the images emerged, city officials released a statement announcing the closure of the area. Like, what are they not getting here? You can't go in the water. Too many sharks, But smarten up, people. Smarten up. Now, here in British Columbia, a family has been fined and attracted the anger of Port Coquitlam's mayor, Port Coquitlam being a suburb of Vancouver, after getting caught reselling medical face masks at McLean Park this past weekend. Pictures sent to Global News showed large brown boxes filled with smaller boxes of supplies. A cash box could also be seen on a folding table set up next to the large boxes. Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West said he heard from several residents that the family was selling masks at $20 a piece, while others told him the asking price was $40 a box. No matter the price, the mayor said the practice of reselling medical supplies at steep markups is unacceptable. I don't know how these people look at themselves in the mirror at this time of the crisis when the whole world is trying to pull together, he said. This is one of the most egregious things I have ever seen as my time as mayor. The family was fined for operating an unauthorized business, but West said that didn't stop them from setting up shop again. They actually, if you can believe this, came back a second day, the mayor said. It was jaw-dropping and stupid. The family is now on the hook for $500 fines for both days. And West said the city filed a report with the Coquitlam RCMP. He says, I'm hoping and praying the RCMP are able to lay criminal charges because that is what is required here. He said, criminal accountability will do far more than a fine from the city could ever do. And on that note, let's get to the thought of the day, shall we? Bet you Captain Shirk is calling up right now. I know she is. Thanks for the clown, Marty. Appreciate that. Thought of the day happens every night at this time, where we take a question from or put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because, well, we love the audience participation around here. Today's thought of the day is as follows. What's the funniest or most interesting fear-mongering you've heard recently? Matt, we'll never have toilet paper again. Captain Shirk just called me a goober. I know she's calling the strip club. I know she is. She just wants some of the pasties. Anyways, Greg, oh no, toilet paper. Robin, that hand sanitizer will become non-existent. Stephen, TTSA have the cure. Did you see Tom DeLonge going off on Twitter about that if you follow him? He is going on about, literally about, the guy's a fearmonger. The guy is a fearmonger. Total fearmonger. All right, let's move forward. Ed, none of it. This is about to get real ugly. So few are prepared for what is coming. Brian, everything David Icke has stated in the last 48 hours. My recommendation, stay away from David Icke. All right, this is a guy who says that the Queen at 92 years old is only alive because she eats and drinks the blood of virgin children that are murdered for her. Yeah, we don't need that crap in this world. Anyways, little Marky Spender, I heard you could get the virus off your phone, so I downloaded Avast, and now Avast says my phone is virus-free, so I am safe now. John, the other day, my wife and daughter were in a store. There are lines marked out on the floor to keep people socially distanced. I guess they momentarily came a couple inches into someone else's space and the person went ballistic, yelling and screaming about entering their private space. I can see being concerned about keeping such a safe distance from others, but there is also such a thing as respectful speech. There is no reason to be a psychotic idiot when all someone may need is a gentle reminder about the benefits of social distancing. Matthew, CDC recommends men shave their butt area. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Gil, the dinosaurs are being born in an animal hospital in Russia. Sirkan, China is hiding 14 million deaths. Oh, yes, I heard that one too. Kevin, last night I was told by the DJ at the Cinnamon Hippo that you could get a disease just from licking the brass pole. Is that true, Dave? I wouldn't know. I haven't been to a strip club in years. Years. Almost a decade at least. Well, maybe not a decade. Either way, they're nice people. Renee, it is interesting you were asking this, Dave. In New Zealand, we have an alert system that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yesterday, we were at a 2. Today, we are now on alert 3. Tomorrow, we go into alert 4, and New Zealand will go into self-isolation for at least 4 weeks. Not sure if this is considered fear-mongering, but this is real, and I, along with other Kiwis, are living it now. Sylvia, don't drink the water. Adam, coronavirus, who names a pandemic after a Mexican beer hangover. Tim, chemtrails and 5G testing kicked in the virus. Russell, COVID-19 found in toilet paper. Oh my goodness. DeWillow, bleach doesn't kill viruses. Marty, that the coronavirus was caused by Corona beer. And finally, Jeff, I thought it was all a joke too until I went to buy medication for my lungs the other day and it was all gone. Apparently, people without breathing difficulties are now also hoarding respiratory medication that they don't need. Oh, that sucks. Get the guy his medication. Don't be stupid out there. All right? Don't be stupid out there. Hey, I want to thank everybody for taking part in the Thought of the Dave on Twitter and Facebook. We will do it all again tomorrow. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for getting our news together. What a good job she did. SpacedOutRadio.com. You can find all of the SOR Newswire. Good job, Captain. We'll let you make your phone call for the pasties in peace now. And Janice Oberding for coming in talking about Nevada ghosts. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work. Well, maybe not at work, but in your cars, wherever you may be. Special thanks to everybody listening in on our YouTube chat, Revolution Radio, LGAB, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes who made Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio very entertaining tonight.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your night with us, because together, my friends,
Make a mistake, we're watching.
We own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. Tell your friends. Share the word. There's actual entertainment out there that's live. And we'll take care of that here on Spaced Out Radio. See you tomorrow night. Good night. Da-na-na-na. Woo! Another good one in the books there, people. Another good one in the books. Let me just turn all this stuff off. Woo! That's good radio right there. Good radio. You guys got some good radio. Hey, Tony Dewhurst from Wales, UK. Let's give you a little bit of a clap for waking up early. What's it, like 5 in the morning there? What is it, 9 hours? 9 hours? No, it's got to be like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning there right now. Tony Dewhurst, everybody. We own the lockdown. That's right. Way to go, Renee. We own the lockdown. Together, my friends, we own the lockdown. Let me just say goodnight to everybody here. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I wonder what Captain Shirk has to say. She goes, "Hello, hello, 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 hello. Good night, Commander." Let's see if we got a pasties gift in the hold on, looking for pasties. It's like a cartoon bear. That is friggin' awesome. All right, what did Corey say here? I'm just getting that. 7 o'clock in the morning. All right. You're up early, man. If you're in lockdown, why the hell aren't you still sleeping there, Tony Dewhurst? Oh, fuck, that meme is like killing me. It's just killing me. All right, just a question. I noticed in the chat room a comment, well, it's been done so nice. It was a gentleman. Should I remove those? Yeah, leave him. Leave him, Corey. Emerald Tessa, my daughter, is asking for pics of your dogs. Why? Why does she want to be so personal with pictures of my dogs? Yeah, I can get those. I could get those. All right. I don't know if Gail will. Let's see here. Gail, you are being asked to join the YouTube chat for right now. We're laughing at the pasties. You know what? I don't even know why I have those on. I don't need to wear them. I don't need to wear them. Oh. All right. Close this stuff off. Until next time. Who do we even have on tomorrow night? Oh, Micah Hanks. I got to get a hold of him. I haven't heard back from him yet. I'll get a hold of him tomorrow. Micah Hanks and John Tenney and then Jen Quasar. Then the round table. Okay, so Captain Shirk says she's going to sleep and she's going to be dreaming about showing you her pasties all night long. So yeah, that's where we're at. We got to wait until maybe tomorrow. My dogs. Let me see if I got pictures of my dogs here. Let's see here. I got a picture of Corey's mustache. Where's my dogs? Pictures of guitars. Let's see here. Wouldn't believe how many pictures of my hair I got. Holy cow. Oh God, come on. I'm looking. I'm not one of those guys who takes a lot of pictures of their pets. Not that I'm not proud of my pets. I don't take a lot of pictures of them. I have pictures of wild horses. Want to see a picture of wild horses? Hold on. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's a picture of wild horses right there. That's kind of cool. Still looking. I don't know. I'll have to take a longer look. We see your hair. Okay, there you go. There's the hair for you, Renee. There is the hair for you. Well, I understand that. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. I'm not a big photo guy. I honestly can't find any. Anyways. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this thing up. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. Because I got some stuff I need to be doing. But you guys have a wonderful night. And we'll do it all tomorrow. Micah Hanks, everybody. Are you excited? I'm excited. Micah Hanks. So, yeah.